And we are, I should do the little, there we go. Well, I've got something to show you, Chip.
Okay.
Later, if you're good.
You're making me nervous, Joe.
That's okay. We're uh, we're all friends here. So welcome everybody to the Zoom after show. Everybody is still coming in, and I have to say, I mean, it's conversations like today that Marcus and I were talking about it afterwards, but it's why I do this as well. And Marcus, one of the biggest things that I've learned is how to listen and how to actually stop talking. And it's funny, even sometimes in some of the questions I was asking you, in my mind, I'm aware of, am I talking too much? Is this too long an intro? And it's just been a real gift for me to sit back and listen and learn. And I tell you, if there's any shortcoming through this whole thing, is sometimes I feel like you guys are the lucky ones because you get to really hear the show. And I feel sometimes I miss so many things in the conversation. You don't appreciate it when you're like watching two people talking. And these are all the things that have come out of it. And I always say, you know what, I want to go back and watch the whole thing. And I never do because there's never time because I'm prepping for the next one. But when I step back, when I zoom out, I'm just like, it's just been a privilege. And to spend it with you guys, with Chip, with Joey, with Bob, with Jen, and of course, did I say with Chip, Les, you know what I mean, all of you, whatever. I'm just gonna stop gushing. Marcus Whitney, everybody.
Hello.
Hey, Marcus.
Hey, Joseph, I just wanted to say, because I do a daily show, like what you didn't give yourself credit for is that you're hosting and you're interacting with your viewers, but you're producing at the same time. Like, if anyone has not done that, I'm doing it 4 to 5 days a week right now. I mean, it is so difficult to actually listen. You know what I mean? To actually listen and do all of those things. I think you did an exceptional job, and I think that your questions were just the right length. I never felt like you were talking too long or talking over me or anything like that. So I think you're a fantastic host. I think you do a great job.
Well, I really appreciate it. Another thing I'm also learning how to do is take a compliment. So thank you. So I want to go to some of those questions. David Libby, who's not in at the moment, I know Leslie and Jan are, but I'll ask his question first. He said, does physical exercise help with steps 1 through 5?
Yeah, so physical exercise, absolutely. What I wanted to tell him is, I talked about well-being and I talked about trauma. What I've learned is there's a book called The Body Keeps the Score, and it is about the fact that so much of the way that we process trauma is through talk therapy, sort of things like that. We sort of look at it from a brain perspective, but actually much of the trauma that we experience actually like gets stored in our muscle fibers and in our body. It actually gets stored in our body. So the way that you work through a lot of that stuff is back through the body: exercise, sweating, stretching, yoga, all these different things that exertion can actually help you to process trauma. And for me, it was the first way that I was able to. I wasn't able to actually tap into some of the deeper emotional issues that I had. I had to start with exercise, which is just sort of a very primal way of getting to that stuff. And then over time, the emotions, I think, get to the surface level, and you're familiar enough with them that you can start to dig into them. So exercise it's huge for everything. I don't drink anymore, or really do anything but except for exercise and meditate every day. And exercise is massive. It's such a big hack. In fact, I hurt my knee a week and a half ago trying to do a personal record on the squat. So I've been giving my body a break, and for the first week it was okay, but the last couple of days have actually been pretty tough. And I'm just starting to get sort of back into the swing of things.
It's I've run tomorrow I'll run again, and I'll probably hit 57 miles for June.
Nice.
In May, I ran 50, and and I've been, as you saw, fat blogging, and I have to say, like, and I've been quite honest about it. Without the ability to run outside, get outside and run, and without this Corona TV, I don't know what I would have done. I don't know what would have happened to me. And one was like food for the body, and one was food for the soul. But they're all connected and interconnected, because so many times I've been running, listening, as I do, as you guys would know, because I talk about it all the time, listening to these interviews that further inspire me and give me food for thought and things that I want, like even that Scott Galloway quote as well. It's stuck with me, and I've used it so many times as well. So it does show how, and of course, out of all of that comes so much happiness and these things. So thank you for sharing. Well, I can actually, yeah.
Really quickly, I just wanted to say, like, one thing that I've loved in all this Corona stuff, and I know that it's hard. My children are 21 and 19, but I love seeing, in what would normally be just adult stuff, I love seeing, adults and children embracing, and so Joseph, like, I just saw that, and that was awesome. There are these like little things about all this stuff that are great, and this sort of like return to the important things, and I feel like in the past we would have been like, go in the other room, I'm busy. But now, like, now we're like, oh, come over here. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I just feel like there's a recalibration, and it's nice. So anyway,
it's also a Joey Dumont moment. If we don't have the cameo, we know something's up.
And I like his new green screen too.
Whose?
Joey's new green screen.
Yeah, so I'm up in Tahoe, sorry. And I have a lot of action behind me, so I had to keep it on mute because we got my kids playing, and this house is echoey, and it's a stone floor, and they're playing with Legos and cars. And so, yeah.
That's
thanks.
awesome.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
While I have off mute, Marcus, I'm going to go buy your book. I'm not going to buy it on Kindle because I'm old, and I have to read books.
That's okay.
And then I can highlight it and all that. So I look forward to reading it, and thanks for your time today. It was great.
Oh, no, my pleasure. Thank you.
You can get the autographed one, which is available. All right. So I know Jan and Leslie, you had questions, but by the way, Marcus, so I'll give the spiel now, especially for people watching on Facebook. You don't have to watch on Facebook. You can come into the Zoom room. It's a different type of experience. You can stay off camera, you can stay off mic. No one's going to pick on you, and interact. And then for you, Marcus, I always say that you're welcome in this in our little community here each and every single day. It's just been a real fun time for us. And our regulars are so regular that when they don't show and they don't, well, first of all, they started like not RSVP, but sending regrets. Sorry, I'm going to be in Tahoe. I can't make it. But when they don't show, and Chip, you're a regular now. So that means if you don't show, you're going to get a Nostagram from me.
Well, I do have other things I have to do during the week, Joe. I mean, I can't come in every day.
Can be nothing more important than...
That's just an excuse.
Okay, Bob.
Okay, can I show Chip my little...
Whoa, where are you?
What do I call it?
I'm getting really nervous now.
Sorry, can I show Chip my huge screen? Hold on. So now I go to... So
Careful now.
So this basically... wait, let me just move the mute. And
I love that cardboard box.
Oh, this is the...
He ordered it on Amazon.
All right, so
now we're on your phone. Is that it? Turn you're muted.
He's never sounded better, Bob.
Damn it! I can hear him.
What is he
swearing
doing?
in the background? He's a professional.
He He thinks we can hear him because he's like giving us a tour right now. Doesn't know we can.
He's got a nice IKEA Alex rolling stand there, though.
No, I can hear you, you bunch of assholes. But it basically turns your phone into a virtual camera, and it can, with like 4D, what do you call it, 4K, sorry,
4K.
quality. It's been amazing just playing around with it. It actually worked much better on StreamYard, Marcus.
That was incredible. I was totally expecting it to break down, and it didn't at all.
For some reason, the microphone, it's not actually recognizing the mic on the phone on Zoom, and that might be a security protocol thing.
No, it's go to preferences. You have to change the from where it's getting mic information. So,
No, I did. I did. I changed preferences on Zoom, but it didn't. But anyway, so I'm playing around with that. Here we go.
Chips.
I knew it wouldn't be long before Chip started to show off.
Well, I just wanted to show you I can do it with my phone too. So,
so Chip, how do you switch without having, how do you switch manually? That's what I need to be able to switch without having to click and, so that you can just do that and be looking at the mic. Looking at the camera.
Yeah, so I use, actually I'm hearing myself back now. Am I doing that to myself? I think I am.
Done fine to us.
Okay, so I'll just ignore it then. So I've got this Stream Deck that allows me to switch between scenes, but I also send all my camera input in through vMix, which is where I get to pick you out.
Okay, so have you got a solution for normal human beings?
Yeah.
I'm pretty normal, Joe.
I'm clearly not. For dumb people. No, but I think it would be so awesome to just have there must be a little remote control, a little device that can allow you to just
Stream Deck is.
That's what the Stream Deck is that I was showing.
But it's a big, you can't have something that's fits into your hand like this.
Well, you can get a smaller one. So I've got the one that's got 32 buttons, but you can get one with just 6.
Yeah, I want that one.
And then I also have, sometimes I have multiple HDMI cameras set up, and then I just use an old TV switcher with a little tiny remote control. I'm not sure where it is right now.
And as always, you look fantastic.
Oh, that's not it.
The picture quality is amazing.
Unfortunately, it's much better when it's blurry. Then you can't see me.
No, we love seeing you. Well, anyway, Jan, over to you. Leslie, if you want to ask those questions, or I can ask them on your behalf. I know Jan doesn't need me to do anything on his behalf.
I cede my time to Leslie.
Thank you. I'm sorry I have not been able to make many of your calls and episodes. I think I was on a few maybe a month ago. It's been a while, so I missed them. And today was great. I had a clear calendar and came up on Facebook, and literally, Marcus, within about 15 seconds, I was glued to the conversation. It was great. It resonated with me. I'm a 24-year-old entrepreneur. 24 years into entrepreneurship, and so I want to add that your book, I think, will be great for not just first timers, but even for old timers like me, who I still feel like an entrepreneur. Because every few years we're met with something that totally changes our business, and we're kind of like starting over within our business. So so it was really wonderful, and just your voice and your words were just so authentic and resonated. And so, but you were talking about what sounded like, and I forgot the word to use, but it's like I want to use a different term than the new normal, because this is not going to be normal, whatever we're going into. There's going to be someone I heard, I think it was Rashad Tabakawala, was speaking about as transitional normals, or, and I'm looking for, because people keep saying that word, and I just want to I want to get away from it, because, every day, everything changes, it seems like. I think we'll be going through massive changes, at least through the election. We don't know what the normal, I don't know what the future will be. In fact, unfortunately, it feels like it's getting worse, not better now, or the data shows it's getting worse. So any comments on, how we describe what transitional normals will look like, or words that we can use? Because I think that would help people a lot, just to put words around it.
Yeah. So for me, I try to I try to frame things in a way that I can live with them, and I think new normal is kind of gonna stick. That was my sense about it. What I didn't like about it was the idea that it was happening to me. I didn't like that part. I mean, I felt like as an entrepreneur, one of the many superpowers that I have is that I get to, imprint my will on the universe. And so how I've framed the new normal is that I'm here to be part of building the new normal. And that to me is what this opportunity is about. This is about us realizing that largely we're going to kind of get a clean slate and an opportunity to use creativity to solve problems we didn't quite understand that we had, but also and I think we're seeing this when you're looking at the social movements that we're experiencing right now. There is this sense that we do want to actively use this time to get rid of the stuff that didn't serve us before, right? So there's the pain of the moment, which is the breaking of our economy, the loss of jobs, the uncertainty, the diminishing of people's retirement portfolios. So the question is what do you do with that? What do you do with that? And what I'm trying to model, and if I can say inspire people to do, is to engage with it, is to engage and to own and claim the power that they have to actually in this moment in time build what the new normal will be, as opposed to let this new normal thing just happen to you. You know what I mean? So build the new normal has been the way that I've sort of taken it and framed it so that it didn't take my power away. So that's what I've been using.
I think, just something to add is there is also, sometimes I use the phrase business as unusual. But when you go back to the new normal I don't think encapsulates the real profound, enduring and lasting change. I think the new normal is to COVID, hygiene is to COVID what security was to 9/11. So before 9/11, you just basically walk straight through to your gate, or someone could come and and stand and watch you go onto the plane, and then suddenly we're almost being violated physically, taking off our belt, we're half naked standing there, and that became, well, that's just what you got to do, otherwise you don't fly. So now that's normal to us. We just assume that that's what you do. You go through, you put your hands up, you have X-ray, gamma rays shot through your body. So the new normal now will be a certain hygiene normal. People like Howie Mandel and Howard Stern that would kick the toilet seat with their foot, or that were germaphobes. Well, guess what? Germaphobes are going to be us now, and that's going to be the new normal. And we're just going to have to learn how to deal with that kind of stuff. But the profound stuff, I don't know that we yet quite grasp what that's going to be or look like, or how it's going to result. When we think about how we learn, how we teach, how we interact, how we date, how we love, so many things are going to be different.
Yeah, and I think the thing is, somebody will influence those things, right? I mean, some of them will be phenomenon that kind of feel like they're happening in a serendipitous way, but if there's anything we've learned through the accumulation of power of the tech platforms, it's that the scary thing is how incredible their ability is to manipulate the world. And you know, not that the people that work there are doing it, but that the platforms can be leveraged to manipulate the world. So I think that's why I think it's important that we think about wherever our area of expertise is, where our passions are, and just understand that the likelihood that things are going to happen there the way that they used to happen is very low. And with that, what are you going to do to make sure that this new low touch, economy, this new low touch reality that we're in is as kind and thoughtful and empathetic and conducive to mental health as possible? Like, what are you going to do to contribute to making this the most humane new normal that we can possibly have? I am very, if there's anything I'm afraid of, it's that people just sort of sit back and let the powers that be sort of dictate and design that.
Well, I actually think that the amount of volunteerism and advocacy coming from all demographics now, and we see it in the marches, we see it in the contributions being made. I don't, the likelihood of it not being influenced by a much broader group of people, much more massive, it seems unlikely. I think we've proven that contribution, letting your voice be heard, there's room for it. It's happening. So I'm hopeful, that it's not going to be defined by a few. That the masses, in some ways, will start to define things. Thank you for your thoughts. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Well, look, and by the way, new virtual background.
Oh no.
This is my TikTok. Just playing around. But I don't think there is the few anymore, because even if you take my soliloquy about Facebook, and from Facebook backing into the brands and brands, and being shamed, the ADL and the NAACP shaming the brands to shame Facebook. The reality is it's the people. It's not the few anymore. It's the many. It's citizens that marched. It's citizens that protested. It's citizens that called their state or local representatives. And so it's funny because, the one thing I didn't get to say last night, I did the Beancast podcast, and even today, is that, when I wrote Built to Suck, the stake in the ground was no one lives forever. No man, no company, no civilization, no empire. No one can cheat the sands of time. And then you look at it and you go, but except for Facebook, right? Because when you've got X, like Dr. Evil, billion people on board, and yet look at the cracks. And then you realize generationally, you have all of these, as I said a couple of weeks ago, these non-voting teenagers lip syncing and dancing on TikTok, basically embarrassing the president of the United States. So if you just take a step back and you look at what's happening, it should give, even if you are a diehard, member of the base, the right, the base on the right, you should still have hope that there is the ability for people to want to create change from the bottom up. Sometimes it's against you and sometimes it's in your favor, but I think you've got to be able to say you can't have one without the other. You can't have it all just working, kind of like, you've got to take the good with the bad and let the chips fall where they may. Or sorry, let the chip fall where they may. That's for you, Chip.
Thanks.
So that's my hope. My hope is the few will not dictate anymore.
So can I be a bit of a contrarian?
Of course.
So, I mean, I believe that in times like these, when you have crises going on, and right now multiple crises going on, I think that there's sort of we're all pushing the rubber band out as far as we can to see change, but there is tremendous back pressure on that. And even if you look at things like 9/11 or the crash of 2008, yes, things are different now than they were before that, but they're not as different as we thought they would be at the time, and they're not as different as they once were. There is that sort of return to status quo. So, I think that we need to keep pushing the elastic band, but we have to understand that, as far as we get, we're likely to end up pulling back.
That is the danger. I mean, throughout, that is always the danger, which is that we revert, that we go back to our bad habits, that before we know it, we're, elbowing someone to get that big screen, on Black Friday, or, but let's hope it doesn't. Well, we can't just, I think that's your point, right? We can't just hope that it doesn't happen. We have to make sure it doesn't happen.
Right. And frankly, it's not all bad that there is that pullback, because at times the elastic band is pulled in a direction that those of us who are sitting around this table may not want to see, right? So there is some benefit to have that tension and make sure that whichever direction you're going in is really the right one. And so, but I think we do need to be realistic about it, because I think that, we're even seeing it now with some of the reopening. People are reverting to normal behaviors much more quickly than I think would have been imagined 60 days ago.
Yeah, look at Florida, look at Texas, look at Arizona. They swung the pendulum way too far, too fast, and because they just figured they could, and the economy and Hillary's emails.
Could you argue that it is exactly what Chip is saying that led to this, right? Which is, we tried to get back to the old normal, right? Business as usual, and didn't recognize that there might have been better ways to have done it. And this is also, like, even I think Jay Bear was talking about, remember, Bob, which is getting restaurants to update their websites, to make sure that their menus were online and that you could order online and that you had the ability to do. So it was a false, it was a red herring, which is, save the economy or save lives. They're interconnected. The idea of, do you have the right to earn a living? Absolutely. But you've got to change the way that you do that in order to make that living. No one denied you the right to. Now, look, if someone's denying you the right to, put oil on your body and get a tan on the beach, that's selfishness and hedonism, and sadly we might have to do without. But from an economic standpoint, I think maybe if we'd framed it as, even going back to what Leslie was saying, just call it the new normal, but same but different, or different but the same, maybe we would have had a better chance.
But I wonder if some people think that the new normal is bringing back the old normal versus,
yes,
I think Marcus was saying, which is, let's build a new normal, versus the new normal isn't a slightly adjusted version of old normal. We don't, we can't bring back that. At least I don't see that for anywhere in the near,
I think
near future, the way things are going. So I think it's a definition issue. I mean, I think, because I hear people, though, the new normal will be like, oh, like we were doing everything the same way, with maybe we'll wear a mask.
I think the loaded word there is normal, and I think that word is used by different factions to their own devices. I think a lot of people who aren't in favor of social justice, for example, are really referring to normal as the word comfort. They're comfortable with the way it was, and if things are going to change, that's bothersome because it's uncomfortable. And so the whole idea of normal as a word, whether it's new or old or anything, is one of status, not status. And there's no change there in the word, no matter what you add to it. It'll just be used for whatever purposes. I know it's not catchy, but it's more likely that we want a new wisdom, or a new something, but not anything to do with normal. I mean, even the word normal is one that's filled with prejudice in terms of physicality. Like, what does that mean? You know, I'd rather be, I think in that case, Abby Normal from Young Frankenstein. You know, so I reject.
That's Frankenstein.
To you, yeah, that's true. And so, you know, I just kind of, I understand where you're at, Marcus. Just choose one and be done with it. But I see it also used by, I've seen people even in a relatively liberal state like New Jersey. Every state has its factions, where it's, you know, like, fuck your new normal. You know, I want normal, which is your point, Leslie. I want to go back to normal.
No.
So to me, the whole idea of normal is weird. Like, well, anything that I produce from a creative standpoint better not be normal. Like, normal seems boring to me on every level, except maybe in science where you're using it for some kind of norm, you know, on which to judge against. But I don't think that's what we're talking about here.
It's not. We're not indexing.
I've never used the word normal to describe you, Jen.
Thank you.
Just letting you know. You're welcome.
But you know, that's actually an interesting, you know, so maybe we need a wave of, you know, some celebrity with some big doing some big hashtag work to, you know, get us all, you know, bandwagon onto this concept that it's not normal. And I think it's a really good point. It's, you know, this is, you know, we're going to be in, and I think Marcus, you made the point too about innovation. I mean, we have a chance to build it, innovate it, you know, whatever it's going to be. We can't, you know, the fundamentals of how we worked, how we lived. We walk, you know, like, you know, your analog was great, Joe, was, you know, it's like, you know, don't go to the airport anymore and expect to walk on a plane. We go in and we get x-rayed and we get bags get searched and you get pulled aside for extra searches. I mean, all that stuff is, you know, is a different life than what we had prior. So I think there's something there that I think has to happen, because I'm personally I'm so tired of hearing people reference the normal. I just feel like saying, you know, there's never going to be a, you know, maybe the point is it's the wrong word.
I'm curious where our education system goes, from pre-K to elementary to junior high to senior high to college. How are we going to educate people in mass? I love it when Joe leaves and has my logo
now we're all in
up on the
charge.
screen. Yeah, but it's got my logo, so that's good. But I have friends that are pretty high up at Dartmouth, and they are listening to Harvard, who's trying to figure out how they're going to have students come back. And one minute they do, and the next minute they don't. They're not going to have them come back. And hashtag woof, Joe.
But it's also in the K through 12 world. A friend of mine I was talking to over the weekend is a high school teacher, and she said that they have the strategies for reopening for high school is very different than, you know, than middle school and elementary school, because high school kids they could be on their own, they could be home, they don't need the guidance and the hand holding. And so even, you know, if you look at higher ed versus, you know, K through 12, even K through 12 has to be segmented, because I think we have to approach how we, you know, deal with things. You know, I have my dentist was telling me her daughter is in kindergarten, has 4 hours of Zoom calls a day in kindergarten. I'm like, are you kidding me? It's like,
that's nuts.
Crazy, right? But you know, but you're right. I think education, and I'm in the training business, so I follow everything going on in education, whether it's corporate or K through 12 or higher ed, because it all trickles back, not down, but kind of back and forth between corporate development training. And you're right. It's going to look different across the board. And by the way, your comment about, you know, Marcus, and the being on air and you're also multitasking, producing when you're doing virtual. Trainers do this, you know, all the time. I mean, we're constantly, you know, on the screen, on the audio, throwing up polls, watching chat, answering questions, raising hands. I mean, if you should see what our virtual trainers go through on managing.
I love watching Joseph switch to full screen on the speaker. So like Marcus went full screen for a few minutes, and so I know Joseph's in the background, like frantically pulling his things together and getting all the next things set up on the screen, and then he comes back to, oh, hey.
No, you know, at the beginning,
work.
At the beginning, I was doing that because I wasn't able to get LinkedIn comments into StreamYard, and now I can. So there's no functional reason other than just really wanting my guests to be full screen. Yeah. Like, I'm not really doing anything else at the time. Sometimes actually what I was telling Marcus is I want to write something down that he said that I just thought was like really amazing. And so I don't want to like be writing, or maybe I'm typing like when he was doing his 5 things, which I didn't know, you know, I didn't know you were going to do those. So I was just typing while you were talking, which was awesome. That worked. But listen, I'm going to try and keep these after shows a little bit more stricter to 30 minutes. And so we're a little over, but I want to just, if you're watching on Facebook, I'm going to shut it down. Tomorrow, my guest is, see if you guys were paying attention.
Crap.
No.
Not crap.
I take that.
It's never crap.
You listen to your guest, Joe, not to you.
Cyrus, not Cyrus the virus, Cyrus Crone, who he's written a book called Bombarded, which I think is going to be fascinating. He's a very, very smart guy. So I'll be back tomorrow. Marcus's show is?
Marcus,
are you guys paying attention? No, but the rest of you, what time is it?
Noon Central Time.
Oh.
Yes. And most importantly, what's happening tomorrow?
Book release.
The book.
I already bought it. I got it already.
Good luck with that, Marcus.
All right, guys.
Thank
I look
you.
forward to reading it, Marcus.
Guys, have a great day, and Marcus, I'll be in touch. And just good luck tomorrow. I'll be thinking of you.
Thank you so much, Joseph. I
Good luck,
appreciate it.
Marcus.
Thank you, guys.
Good show. Well done.
Bye, everybody.